Oh, MGs, boys, girls, in-betweeners, how you doing? Red Gambit here, and I'm back with a quick video just to talk a little bit more about Guilty Gear Strive, and more specifically the netcode, because that was one of the big draws to me for this game, is that a lot of people were talking about how good it was during the betas, about obviously the, Justin Wong famously saying you could play people in Japan, it was fine, things like that, and I wanted to really put the game through its paces in that sense. So we did a stream last night, and I threw open the gates. I said, doesn't matter what part of the world you're from, if you want to play some sets against me, we can jump into a lobby and we can do that. And there's good parts to that and those bad parts to that. So this is kind of like a little mini review of just the netcode itself of Guilty Gear. So first thing we tried to do was set up an actual lobby. Now, I've heard a lot of people say in this game they don't like the lobbies in this game. And I can kind of see a little bit why in that regard, at least, because when we threw open the lobbies, people who were outside of Australia could join the lobby, but every time they tried to actually join a game with me, they got an error saying that the maximum number of players in the lobby or games running in the lobby had been reached. And when that was only one station with me, with people queued up on that. So that wasn't working. So we tried a few different ways to try and get that to work. It didn't work. It was very unfortunate. And I was about to give up when someone said, you need to go to the park. So the park, if you don't know, is a different part of the online lobby system. You actually go to an open lobby for your area, and then you can just go to the park there and play on a random station here like you're seeing on the screen at the moment. And that worked. So people had to join my region and join the park that I was in, and then they could go to a station with me and join. And once they did that, they were actually able to play. And I played a few people, one person from EU, a few people from the US, and I gotta say, it was really good. It was not perfect, let's get that out of the way. It was not a perfect experience. There was definitely, there wasn't, like, weirdly enough, there wasn't visual rollback, but it did feel a little bit sluggish. Like, just like the inputs and the timings were just a little bit off, that you could tell. So that was probably the biggest ish. There's a couple of other things. Sometimes doing inputs like supers just wouldn't come out. But beyond that, for the most part, it still felt really good. That's the crazy part, is that it just felt damn good. Because the thing is that I've played people from the US in Street Fighter, and whenever we play Street Fighter on stream, all the time I get people coming in and saying, oh, can I run some sets with you? And my answer is always the same, is that unless you're from Australia, or New Zealand's okay, I can play people in New Zealand, it's not gonna happen. I'm not gonna do it, because it will drive me fucking nuts. And if you want to see how Australia to US runs, you can go to the, well, you're on the YouTube right now, you can go to the playlist section, and you can look at like Red Gambit versus Justin Wong, or you can look up the videos where I was training with K-Brad or Gutex, because they're all in the States, obviously. And it stutters like crazy when you're playing US to Australia in Street Fighter. There is visible rollback everywhere. There is teleporting everywhere. It is, if it was an actual match, it would be unplayable. Obviously, these were just training sessions, so that was a little bit better. But it's just night and day. Like right now, what you're seeing is Australia to US, and it's really fine. 221 milliseconds delay, 6 frames of rollback, and we even had more frames of rollback. We had like 8 frames of rollback against some people, and for the most part, it was fine. It's crazy. So I'm incredibly impressed. People are asking me like, is this the best netcode you've played on? Probably yes. Because I haven't, Killer Instinct, as everyone knows, has really good netcode, but I haven't played people in the US with Killer Instinct. So I'm just going to say that this is the brandy range I have netcode for me, because this is incredible. Being able to play people from different countries, and it's just, it's like 80% fine, really. And that's me being really nitpicky about netcode, as I tend to be. So that's crazy. That's great. And it really kind of begs the question of what effect this is gonna happen or have on the industry going forward, because people will say like, oh, this has raised the bar, this is going to force Capcom to do a better job on Street Fighter 6. And my answer to that is, will it though? Will it? Because the story goes, and there's no way to obviously confirm this, but the story goes that with Street Fighter V, Capcom were looking to emulate GGPO. That by looking at the way that the netcode functions and looking at some of the cues they've taken, that a lot of people think that it was GGPO they were really trying to emulate. But rather than actually just go ahead and use an open source netcode, which is free, Capcom were like, nah, we'll just make our own, which is even better than GGPO. And guess what? They didn't. And whenever they've tried to fix the netcode in Street Fighter V, they've usually made it worse. So that begs the question of, like, well, obviously, if they're not going to take a free netcode, they're definitely not going to try and license this netcode from Axis. Even if they could, I don't know if they even could. So, if Street Fighter 6 comes along, they're probably just going to try and do the same thing and emulate this. And whether that will actually work or not is something that's your guess is as good as mine. I have no idea. I don't have very much faith in them, given their track record of fixing that code in Street Fighter V. But they'll try, no doubt. But it'll be very interesting to see. It's certainly raised the bar, and I think that if they do go ahead and try to emulate this, and it doesn't work, or even worse, if they don't try to emulate it, they just go with like, Street Fighter V was fine. It ran fine in Japan. People in Japan have good connections. They don't have anything to worry about. Why don't we need to change anything? Yeah, maybe that'll be the case. If they do that, it could lead to, potentially some people more moving over to games like this, because I'm sold. I'm so glad I bought this. I'm a believer. This game is fantastic. I love it. So it'll be very interesting going forward. That's all I have to say. That's kind of what I wanted to just say about this about the netcode in general. Is that, like, this has been my experience. This is how it all worked out, and I love it. I think it's great, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what effects, if any, it will have for Capcom going forward. So that's it. Let me know what you think. Let me know about your experiences on this. One thing I will say is that these people that we're playing against, I'm assuming they're on wired connections, because there was no actual, beyond what I've already talked about, there was no real change to the netcode. I have played matches in this that have had visible rollback and have had moments that they're very far and few between, but I have had probably, at this point, probably maybe half a dozen matches where there's been visible pausing or rollback. I'm guessing those are Wi-Fi players, because this is stable. That's the thing, is that this is stable. So I'm guessing that this game doesn't handle Wi-Fi nearly as well as it handles a stable connection. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. But yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know what your experience has been in the comments below. And as always, I will see all of you very soon. Thanks a lot, guys.